Hello and welcome back once again. It's time for the Golden Age of DC Comics 365 days, where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. It's been serving my coffee table ever since, and it has been a source of great conversation about comic books, and that's what I intend to do here with this show on my channel, is to recreate the comic book shop conversations that we used to have. This is a 2004 Abrhams publication, written by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, and Geoff Spear. You can find the link to the Amazon page in the description if you want your own copy. I believe the last time I checked it, it was running about $7.50 American, and it makes a great gift, and it makes a great addition to anyone's coffee table. And what goes great with a coffee table and coffee table talks and coffee table books? Freshly brewed coffee. Do you have any steam coming off that? You see that? Ooh. It's gonna taste even better. Yes. And how are you doing? I hope that you're doing awesome. And I hope you know that reading a comic book can help spirit you away to a different place. If just for a few minutes you can forget about this world's problems through escapism and fantasy and fiction. And that's its purpose for escapism, is to, just for a few minutes you can leave behind this world's problems. You're going to come back to them and be a responsible person and deal with them. But you know what? We all deserve a break, and we all deserve some good fiction. So I'm doing this daily series. We're going to be talking about comic books every day for the rest of the year. Tune in at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern daily to find out who we're talking about when we crack the book open. So let's do that. We crack the book open. There's a page with some comic book art. There's today's date, and then there's a blurb, and we're going to read that blurb. Today is May the 25th, and this is art by Jerry Robinson. He's pretty famous. This is from Batman number 36 from September of 1946. The Adventures of Alfred. Alfred, formerly Beagle, Alfred Pennyworth, the butler, mentor, medic to Batman. Yes, this is Alfred, the butler of Wayne Manor, who is, we're going to get into some Alfred here. Alfred's a huge part of Batman. And let's read the blurb real quick, and then we'll get to it. I might have to read some of the voice bubbles in this comic to you. It takes an English detective to know the psychology of an English criminal, unquote. At least that's Alfred's theory, as he takes it upon himself to capture the crook known as London Eddie. Batman's butler embarks on an investigation that includes a tour of all the restaurants in Gotham City that specialize in English cuisine. For his trouble, he ends up bloated with grilled kidneys and Yorkshire pudding, but never solves the deeper mystery of why an American city would be full of English eateries. Although Alfred was usually quite capable in Batman stories, in his own adventures, he was depicted as a fool who inevitably succeeded only by dumb luck. So yes, this is the Adventures of Alfred, and I got the wiki to read from. But yeah, the best way to a crook's capture, thinks Alfred, is through his stomach, which leads him into more trouble than he can digest on the trail of elusive London Eddie. This is as far as I'll take that one. My word, an English thief. Didn't know that His Majesty exported them. Thought the state had enough of their own. I wager the police are baffled, and it's up to me to help them. It takes an English detective to know the psychology of an English criminal. Now, this Eddie undoubtedly prefers real English food, and there's no place like the crowded head for grilled kidneys. I shall inspect it carefully. Dun dun dun. Yes, that's my Alfred voice. I could do better, you know. Alfred is beloved to me personally, as I grew up on Batman 66. That's the Adam West, Burt Ward TV show. And he was a stud. He was an old man, you know what I mean, with glasses and always, you know, dusting something. And but he was part of the joke and in on the action. And well, let's read this real quick. This is from the wiki. Alfred Thaddeus Crane Pennyworth, or simply Alfred, is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics, most commonly in association with the superhero Batman. Pennyworth is depicted as Bruce Wayne's loyal and tireless butler, legal guardian, best friend, aide-de-camp, and surrogate father figure following the murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne. As a classically trained British actor and an ex-special operations executive, ex-special operations executive operative of honor with ethics and connections within the intelligence community, that's a run-on sentence, he has been called Batman's Batman. He serves as Bruce's moral anchor while providing comic relief with his sarcastic and cynical attitude. A vital part of the Batman mythos, Alfred was nominated for the Wizard Fan Award for Favorite Supporting Male Character in 1994. He's been played by many actors over the course of his history. Alfred first appeared in Batman number 16 in April of 1943 by writer Dom Cameron and artist Bob Kane. Evidence that suggests that Alfred was created by the writers of the 1943 Batman serial, and that DC Comics asked Don Cameron to write in the first Alfred story, which was published prior to the serial's release. In his first appearance, he was overweight and clean-shaven. But when the Batman serial released, the actor who played Alfred was trim and had a thin mustache. The DC editors wanted the comic Alfred to resemble his cinematic counterpart. So in Tech 83, and so in Detective Comics number 83 of January of 1944, Alfred vacationed at a health resort where he slimmed down and grew a mustache. This look has remained with the character ever since, even surviving his apparent death and resurrection in comics. And he was originally conceived as a comedic foil. He spoke with a Cockney accent, and pre-crisis, he was following the deathbed wish of his dying father, who he only identified as Jarvis, to carry on through the tradition of serving the Wayne family. And he was formerly known as Beagle as well, and that was one of the first retcons. Jarvis was the surname he shared with his dad. The surname Beagle was explicitly used for Alfred starting in 1945, and on the introduction of Pennyworth, this is treated as always having been their name by retcon. A retcon is retroactive continuity, and that is a comic book buzzword, and it means just going back in the continuity. Continuity is the entirety of the stories in a linear fashion, creating a timeline. So you can say that 7 years ago Batman did this, 4 years ago Batman did that, and 1 year ago he did this with the fourth Robin, and 7 years ago he had the second Robin, something like that. And you're gonna have to. So retroactive continuity means to make a new story that in that 7 years ago and put in a plot point that matters further up the line. Retcons are just they're part and parcel with the comic book fan experience. And unfortunately, Alfred was killed recently in Batman. I don't think he's come back yet, and that was very sad. One of the modern writers, Tom King, he likes to break the toys and he likes to put them back into the toy box broken, and laughs. So the other kids say, "Why did you break my toy?" And he laughs. That's just who this person is. And the reason why I stopped buying DC comics, pretty much, yeah, Tom King, right. I can just see in a couple of years, my biggest fear is that Marvel Comics and DC Comics come back to their senses in the next age of comic books and say, hey, we're going back to telling traditional storytelling, superhero comic books, adventure, escapism. We're not going to try to beat you over the head with agenda or even this moroseness. And it's just going to be like, well, you greenlit this stuff in the first place, so I'm not coming back. Yeah, so I'm not going to come back to Marvel or DC if they fix it. There's no fixing it. There's just going forward. And hey, I was a weekly buyer for decades, and it took someone like Tom King, a writer with that kind of motivation, and just the wake of broken toys in Tom King's wake. It's amazing. But hey, he must have a great agent or whatnot. I don't want to be a downer and talk about Tom King. I want to be uplifting and positive and ebullient and talk about my love of comics. And it starts with the golden age of DC Comics, 365 days, where we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern U.S., and find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. The golden age of DC Comics runs from 1938 until 1955. The Silver Age from 1956 until 1970. The Copper Age from 1970 till 1985. And that's the Bronze Age. And the Copper Age is between 1985 and what I believe to be 2000. And it's one of the conversation points of this station, of this channel, of this show. We talk about the ages of comics. We start with the Golden Age, and I'd like to know what you think, what age we're in now. And leave that in the comment section if you could be so kind. Like and subscribe. I make daily content about pop culture, comic books, cooking. I'm a professional chef. I have a playlist, What's Cooking. I share my professional hacks with you. If you do like soup, I make soup. People love soup. I love soup. I'm also a spiritual guy. Hashtag lighten up. I'm an ordained minister, an amateur theologian. A little enlightenment in your life can go a long way to improving the quality of your daily experience. So thank you so much for tuning in. There's a link in the description to this book at Amazon. It's last time I checked, it was about $7.50. It makes a great present. So thanks for tuning in. Cheers, good luck, namaste, and we will see you again tomorrow. Cheers, bye.